Welcome to a Drop Tent Media production.
The Porcupine with Adam Nutter.
Boom, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the fourth, episode of The Porcupine. I am Adam Nutter, your host of this fucking mess mayhem that we call the podcast world in comedy and politics. Joining me today, a great, awesome dude. Super honored and pumped to have him on the show. Host of the Break the Cycle podcast. Give it up for my man, Joshua Smith, everybody.
What's going on, buddy?
Thanks for coming on, dude. It's super awesome. Again, we met via Twitter, I guess officially.
That's where best friends are made.
That's where best friends are made, dude. Pedophiles and best friends are made on Twitter. Those two things.
It's true. Very true.
A breeder from that place. No, but we met on Twitter, again, being just in the libertarian scene together and more of the like-minded libertarian scene together. And obviously, you just getting fucking attacked for just being honest and open and trying to push the party to like a greatness and like try to do the right thing. And as like you and me and Dave Smith, a lot of the guys call these people the loser brigade, is they come out of nowhere and just they'll attack you, they'll attack your name, they'll slander, just lie and just slander you just because they don't want to see your ideas manifest. True. And I just want to know, when did this all start for you? Was it just when you ran for chair? Was it 2016?
2017,
right?
yeah.
So is that first time?
Yeah. So I announced for chair. I want to say it was around like I don't know, late September maybe of 2017. And I did it as kind of like a challenge to Nick Sarwark because he's a punk, you know what I mean? Like so he's like going after all these people that I adore, like Tom Woods and Eric July and Dave Smith, obviously later on. Yeah, and so I was like, I called around a bunch of big name libertarians. I'm like, yo, you got to run for chair. This guy can't continue to do this shit. I mean, he can't represent the face of libertarianism to normies in this country and continue to do this shit. I mean, he's trying to hurt the biggest libertarian outlets, and everybody was basically like, you're crazy, man. He's the most popular chair that the party's had ever. He was getting ready to go on to run for his third term as chair of the party. And so at the time I had started a publication called Think Liberty. That's doing pretty well now. I'm no longer like part of the publication, but I was one of the founders. And so I was like, you know what, fuck it, I'm going to do it. I'm going to put out an intent to run statement as like a challenge to this guy to let him know that there's people in this country that are not happy with the way he's running this party. I didn't think it was going to go anywhere. I didn't think it was going to do anything, but it did. I mean, I ended up traveling to 24 states, I think, or more. I got the keynote behind Ron Paul in a ballroom in Omaha, Nebraska. I got to do all this crazy shit. But so there was another lady who was running named Leisha Dern. And she, for those who don't know her, she's pretty much one of the reasons why Bill Weld became the vice presidential nominee for the party in 2016, right? Yeah, she promised Austin Peterson she would be his running mate, then stepped down, made some backroom deals with the Gary Johnson campaign, and went out and endorsed Bill Weld, dropped out of the race, and got her supporters to vote for Bill Weld. So she was given the moniker Derncoat, which is fitting. Yeah. And so she decided she was going to run for chair. Well, her and her campaign manager at the time, named Angela Fisher Owens, who sucks, horrible fucking person, just one of the worst people in the party. She might be worse than, she might even be worse than some of these useful idiots that attack me all the time. But they came to me and they were like, hey, we want to work together to take down Nick Sarwark. And I was like, no, like I'm going to fucking run my own campaign. I don't need to work with you guys to take down Nick Sarwark. I'm going to run on my own merits, and they seemed a little upset about it, but then they went away and nothing really came of it. And then a couple weeks later, they came to me and they're like, hey, we want to start a Me Too movement in the Libertarian Party.
Okay.
And I was like, well, I don't really know anybody who's like sexually harassing anybody in this party. Like,
right,
I get that there's some comments online here and there, but it's fucking online. It's not just party people,
Right.
And so they were like, okay, well, whatever. So I didn't, wasn't going to be a part of this Me Too movement with them. Right. And a couple weeks later after that, I'm in Texas at the state convention. I was speaking there and I get a text from Angela Fisher Owens, hey, some things coming out that you did something at a convention in Washington, at the Washington State Convention with this guy Joe Pascal's wife. And I'm like, the fuck are you talking about? First of all, I was living in Washington at the time. This was my state convention. You know what I mean? Like everybody there knew me. You know what I mean? I'm on the board for the state there. I'm one of the region reps. And I'm trying to rack my brain. I'm trying to figure out what the fuck she's talking about. And then she starts saying, yeah, you said some things to Joe Pascal's wife about asking if she shaved her pussy or something like that, or a landing strip. And I'm like, I never did that. Like, that's just not something that I would ever fucking do. And I'm like, oh, you guys are starting your Me Too movement and you're going to come after me first. That's that's what I started thinking about. And so they put out this article calling me this, that changed. I mean, their story changed 8 times. And so I had all these screenshots that I was able to refute everything they said from them, directly from them, their own screenshots, their own text messages. I had a PayPal account screenshot where I had gotten a donation from the woman who was now saying that I had sexually harassed her. And she gave me a donation 4 weeks after the supposed events for my campaign. And then they changed it to, someone said it and you were standing by them and laughed. I'm like, well, first of all, even if I did, who gives a shit? But I didn't, you know what I mean?
Right.
So I put out my own article refuting this shit. They ended up all having to publicly apologize, including Joe Pascal and his wife had to make a public apology. The Dern campaign made a public apology. I mean, it was pretty significant because my supporters were so pissed off at Alicia Dern that they eventually mocked her until she dropped out of that race.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's straight slander. I mean, you're just lying, just for
the sake of lying.
Just for the sake of lying. But also, as we all know, all that does is just inhibit a legitimate claim from somebody. They'll be like, well, you fucking lied last time, so who says you're saying that again? It doesn't help anybody. But I'm sorry, continue.
Sure. So, obviously Angela Fisher Owens was pretty upset with me.
Right.
At the same time, she was over there fucking over Adam Kokesh's campaign funds while he was trying to run for president. We found this out later that they were like doing some shady shit with his campaign funds and not turning in campaign reports and all this shit, But then she got really pissed. So she started coming after me even more. They started attacking me about my children and, my kids not living with me and fucking, what else? That I couldn't keep a job and that I was an abusive person. And this went through all the way up to the convention where, I lost to Nick Sarwark. He became a 3rd-term chair of the party. And I thought, okay, well, the campaign's over. It's probably going to be over. And then less than a year later, I had actually got on the board of the LNC. I became an at-large rep. And I decided I was going to run again. And I mean, immediately it started up. Well, between my 2 runs, I had started dating a woman named Risa Willis briefly, who lived in Texas. And I had met her traveling around, and we met up a couple times. And I had been going through a bad breakup. And so Risa convinced me that I should move to Texas. My daughter lived in Texas. I was like, all right, that'd be cool. I'd be close to my daughter. I think I love this girl or whatever. So I get there, and it's just not going to work out for us. You know what I mean? Like I can tell right away it's not going to work out for us. She has some issues, and she got violent with me, man. Like legit violent with me. The cops came. Cops gave me a ride to a hotel. I stayed at my friend's house for 10 days. I flew back to California.
It's not good when the cops are like, "Dude, are you okay?"
Yeah,
it's not good. Like, it's not good.
So like the cops in Mesquite, Texas, gave me a ride to a hotel. I didn't hurt anybody. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And the next day she starts going around telling everyone that I abused her and this and that and this and that. So they started running with this narrative that I'm this abusive guy that beats up women and blah, 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 even though there's absolutely no proof of this whatsoever. I mean, none, not a single shred of proof. In fact, a lot of proof proves that I wasn't a violent person and I was given a ride to a hotel by the police who were there at the scene, right? So they started running with that. And then when I announced for chair again, I knew that was going to come up. And so they started using this. And, the fact that I had some arrears and child support from more than 6 years ago, that I had been paying off for a long time. They started using the fact that my kids didn't live with me. Then they started going after my 16-year-old daughter right before the convention, this past convention. And she was in a really bad position. That's why I have custody of her now and her 2 siblings that are not mine biologically. I was able to get custody of them as well. And so they got a hold of her and started, basically what I think is bribing, with money and stuff, and to make a bad statement about me. And she did. She said that, but she didn't know. She didn't know any better. And we've mended that issue, and she lives with me now, and everything's fine. And she had a baby in March, and so my granddaughter lives with me as well.
That's fucking nuts, dude.
Yeah, it's crazy, but they're still using these things to attack me. You know what I mean? And it's like we've already, for the most part, proven that what you're saying is bullshit. So now they've moved on, and we got people like Richie Castaldo out there calling me a sexual abuser who's convicted of showing his dong to a minor back in 2008. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like that's what I'm saying is, man, and this is, I mean, one of my biggest, obviously, pet peeves in the world, like the whole child predator thing. And it's like the fact that that guy is a fucking actual convicted child predator, and he's on Twitter being like, look at this guy being a fucking shitty parent, which you're not. And then everyone is just like, yeah, like they'll just take his file because he has a fucking check mark next to his name, I believe, right? So like, oh, they'll just take his side. And it's like, hey, man, do you guys not know that he showed his dick to a child? Like, are we just gonna gloss that over because, again, Josh bad? Like, that's all you. So that's what we're doing. We're just going Josh bad, so we're gonna defend the pedophile guy.
Well, sure. There's several people, they don't give a shit about that. It's all about tarnishing my name, right? And saying things that really are not just gonna hurt me politically. They're things that can hurt my personal life, my job, my family, right?
Well, yeah, that's the thing is you have an actual job too, like a full 9 to 5, 9 to 5, quote unquote 9 to 5, but like you know what I'm saying, like
6, but yeah,
but like as in like traditional job, and it's like So people that's the thing, man, and that's why Twitter is fucking amazing but dangerous. We all know, because people just fillet shit out there, right? They'll be like, "Hey, fucking Josh is racist," boom, and it's like, what? And then one of your jobs, like, "Hey, man, we got some calls like it says you're racist," and you're like, "I'm not," and they're like, "Well, we don't want any pushback, so you're fired." And now like people's lives get ruined off of just because some guy doesn't like you politically.
Sure.
And it's a different idea than you. It's
a concern of mine because I'm not a racist person. And in fact, I've been, I had Hotep Jesus on my podcast yesterday.
Yeah, fucking great. Yeah.
And everyone's like, oh, you're platforming anti-Semitism. And I'm like, first of all, we didn't talk about any Jews on my show. Second of all, I'm half Jewish. My family, my dad's side of the family's from Israel. So shut the fuck up, maybe. You know what I mean? Like, stop trying to say things publicly that are going to hurt my fucking actual life just because you dislike me politically. Fuck you. What's wrong with you? You know what I mean? And that's why I just finally ended up blocking these people, because I'm like, I don't need you in my fucking life anymore. Like, just get out of here.
And it's a bummer because like I'm anti blocking people because like it feels like you give them a win that way, right? But it gets to a point, like especially for you, where it's like my livelihood could be ruined by a fucking asshole, so it's like it's worth the block. But there's a part of me, it's like fucking they get that win, they get that like, look what I did, I made him block me, and it's like yeah, because if you were in front of me though, and that's the other thing too is. All these guys that you get into it with Twitter, and then I get into it with Twitter on because I'm gonna defend you because I refuse not to. So like they're all these keyboard warriors.
Oh sure.
And they just all run their fucking mouth, and then these. Okay, so like I live in Bucks County, Pennsylvania, right?
Sure.
And right now me and a bunch of other guys and gals who are Mises Caucus oriented, we're trying to vote ourselves into the Bucks County party.
Sure.
They don't like that.
Of course not.
They don't like that. Now, instead of talking to us, trying to work with us, trying to combat our ideas with their ideas, no. What they do is they go on Facebook and Twitter, like we also don't have Facebook and Twitter, and then they'll just go on there and lie about what happened in the meetings, and like we weren't there or not going to see this this tweet. So like last meeting we had was this April. We all we did was ask a question. We said, hey man, when are the officer elections again? And the dude who doesn't even live in our county, who's the chair,
go figure.
Right. He just flipped out on us and was like, actually the elections are in December again because we had we're like, all right, chill.
Just asking, bro.
Calm the fuck down. We're just asking, dude. What does this dude do? He goes online, he goes on Twitter the next day and goes, I stopped the takeover in Bucks County. Like, good try. Try again. And we're like, no one tried to do anything. We asked a question. Now, but of course, that makes us dig deeper, right? So what do we find out? We find out that the last 6 months before all the Mises guys started getting involved, their meetings weren't kept properly. Their minutes are all over the place. There's not like a proper record.
Shocking.
Now, here's the fucking whipped cream on this bitch. They vote themselves in arbitrarily one day. There was no vote. There was no and the meeting. You can't even like find the name, the title of like a vote or anything. We had to like really look into it. And
they could get in trouble for that. Like legitimately could get in trouble. For that.
So we're like, good, idiot. Now next meeting, which is in May, we're gonna go in there like, hey, we're pushing the agenda. We're gonna vote to make an officer election right now.
And if you have enough people, you can do that. Especially if they don't have a legit bylaw. There's nothing they can fucking do.
Exactly.
Who's your chair?
His name's John.
Waldenberger?
Yep.
He's such a bitch. What a fucking nerd. I hate that guy.
And that's the thing. And this is my point, Josh, is like, I've been to one physical meeting with him and 2 virtual meetings with him, right? This motherfucker talks mad shit online. We all get to the meeting. He's like, hey, I'm John.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, you're like, we know. Yeah, we know, bitch.
Yeah, what happened, man? What happened to all that shit you were just because like I talk shit on Twitter, but like to people I'm never gonna meet because I'm never gonna have the opportunity to talk shit to their face. But I'm like, I won't talk shit to John on Twitter because I'll see him. Yeah. So I'll wait like a fucking man, you know?
Yeah.
I'm not gonna fucking. And then there's Dan Wasserman or Wasserman.
I do.
Okay,
yeah.
That motherfucker went on a tirade against Michael Heiss.
Oh yeah.
And just
there's some
bashing him, lying.
Pennsylvania is such a weird place because
dude.
you guys have like one of the strongest Mises caucuses in the country because Michael Heiss lives there.
He lives from Norristown, which is like 30 minutes from here.
Yeah, it's Michael Heiss. Jeff Douglas lives there. Yep. I mean, you guys got like half the fucking board. Luke Enzer, I mean, live there, right?
Yeah.
But then you guys have these straight pitches in Pennsylvania, like Henry the Socialist, dude. Come on, get the fuck out of here.
He's one chair for Montgomery County.
Oh yeah, I know. And then he like stepped down or some shit, and then like I don't know.
Yeah. So Dan last meeting, he shit at Michael Heiss and the whole meeting. Like he just called us all a bunch of fucking wannabe GOPers, which is like. Never have I been a Republican. Never have I fucking signed up to be a Republican. Fuck them. That's why I'm a goddamn libertarian, you fucking asshole. So this guy just goes on, says all this shit on Facebook about us, and then come to the meeting. I'm like, I'm not going to start a fight during the meeting. I want to be professional, right? But after that meeting, I was like, hey, Dan, say that shit again. And this fucking guy, before the meeting goes, guys, I got to leave, and fucking bails like, you fucking cunt. You know? And like, I'm not going to fight anybody, but like, I'm not. This is the problem, and you know it, is a lot of the other libertarians, like, they're just fucking, like, bitches, dude. Honestly, that's what they are. And like, they avoid confrontation.
Libertarian.
They avoid confrontation, and that's not me. Like, and same thing, like, I'm a comic in the comedy world. Like, Jesse's a comic, too. He's my producer, but he's also a comic, and he'll tell you this. Like, Jess, how many comics are fucking passive-aggressive?
Zero.
Every single one of them. Every single one is passive aggressive.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
There's always. I mean, you're in competition with them, and there's this unspoken competition between everyone. So like you're trying to be nice, but also.
Yeah, they're
in my way.
They're all passive aggressive, and a lot of comics they'll shit talk you because they know, like, well, no one ever checks me because it's comedy. Well, I will, and we're not boys. So you don't get to fuck with me. Like, I don't care that we're comics, you know? Like, I also have, again, 8 years MMA behind me. It's like, hey, man, like, I'll test those waters with you. Like, you don't get to talk to me like that. So I'm like, so now it's the same thing with libertarian shit in the party stuff. It's like, hey, man, you don't get to just go online and chirp at me like I'm not going to see you. So I'm going to see you, and I'm going to call you out. And like, when I do, they don't know what but they run away. So now we're in this process of like, all right, well, now we got to do this fucking takeover. And I know people are like, well, don't say takeover. I'm like, well, fuck them. I don't know what to say anymore.
Some places it's a takeover, dude. I mean, legitimately, some places like Nevada, it's a fucking takeover. It's got to be. It's the only way.
I wanted to talk about them because their tweets, which I could pull up on my phone real quick, are antithetical, I think is the word, to liberty.
Oh, sure. Yeah. 100%. I mean, they've been pro-lockdown, pro-vaccine mandates, pro-vaccine passports. They had a whole entire week where they shit on Ron Paul. I mean, come on, dude. You're in Nevada. Is like one of the states that Ron Paul did the absolute best in. How the fuck do you think that's going to help your party at all?
So this one from a few days ago, Our convention is fast approaching. The alt-right, transphobe, conspiracy theorist, unhinged, lunatic to libertarian pipeline is sending a bunch of their goons to Nevada. We are ready for a rumble. It's going to be quite a show. Don't miss out. That sounds like a conspiracy theory. What the fuck are you talking about?
You're damn right we're going to take your party. You're damn right. In the words of Beto O'Rourke, you're damn right we're going to take your party.
But it's like, again, right. It's because we just have a different idea of liberty that makes us fucking alt-right conspiracy theorists. Like, no, we just actually stand for liberty and freedom, and you guys don't. That's the difference.
No, and I agree.
I don't understand.
They're blue-pilled leftist libertarians. I mean, I think some of those guys probably came from the Democrats and like really hated Ron Paul, and so because the Mises Caucus is so, really, I mean, Ron Paul is one of the reasons why we're doing what we're doing.
Yeah, of course.
He's called the Mises Caucus the libertarian wing of the Libertarian Party. He endorsed me for chair last year.
Yeah.
They hate Ron Paul so much that they hate us so much. And now they're going to say whatever the fuck they want. No, never mind the fact that 3/4 of the Mises Caucus are open borders guys. Never mind that none of us give a shit about trans issue. Like, we're not,
no
you know what I mean? Like, we're not,
shit.
Yeah, we don't give a shit. Like, I have tons of fucking trans friends. I'm from San Francisco, dude. Like, right out, you know what I mean? Like, 50% of my friends are GSM, bitch. Like, what the fuck are you talking about? You know? And so, it's just that it's more of the same with these guys, man. They see their small pond getting bigger and they're becoming smaller fish, and so they're trying to fucking run out the people that are making the pond bigger in effectually making their issues smaller. I mean, that's what they're doing. You have the opportunity to grow this fucking party exponentially, and you're trying to throw people out. What the fuck is wrong with you? Well, and we're not, when we talk about a takeover, it doesn't mean, hey, we're coming to take the party over and kick you out. Right. We're coming to take the party over and you can sit in the fucking back seat for a while because that's where you belong right now. You know what I mean?
Right. And that's the thing is, like, it's your guys' fault for not doing your job. We gave you all the chances, and you kept promoting like Gary Johnson and Bill Well, and like neocons and fucking like actual GOP war hawks is like what you promoted. And we're like, we don't want that. And you guys, and then they turn around and go, you guys are GOP war hawks. Like, we just said we don't want that.
We're like the biggest anti-war movement in this fucking party.
Which is why it always bothers me about Tulsi Gabbard. I'm like, just come to the Libertarian Party already. Like, just come on. Like we need. I know she's not full, but and this is where
she's got to read this one book first.
Yes, exactly.
When she reads this book,
exactly,
then we can talk, because her economic policies are fucking horrendous.
Are horrendous. But she anti-war though, she's fucking doomed, nail on the goddamn head with that. Especially also she's great with like trying to bring government together, not break it apart. Actually talk but she is good with that. She's good for like actual unification, which is a big goal of ours.
She's been pretty good on. She's also been pretty good on the Fed. She's. I know she supported auditing the Fed at least.
Yeah.
But she's anti 2A.
Right. There's definitely some problems with her for sure. But like so I'm good friends with Larry Sharp, and his approach, as you know, is like, hey, let me talk to bring them on because they're better than being where they are.
I agree.
And then he's like, I'll talk to him, and then we'll talk to him, and we'll get him around. And he is right, because like I was talking to I had Brian Nichols on yesterday, and we were talking about like,
Brian.
Yeah, I love Brian. He's fucking great, because he was talking about like we as libertarians have to not get so angry when talking to non-libertarians about fucking political shit, because like we know a lot of stuff maybe, and the average person might not. And like I'm definitely at fault for that. I'll just get mad sometimes, and me and Jesse will talk, because Jesse's again not a libertarian, my producer, and like he's a left-leaning guy, and sometimes we'll talk. I'm like, Jesse, you don't know this? He's like, no. I like, calm down. We're talking about, I'm like, all right, you're right. Hold on. And like, we have to like scale it back and like talk, but so I have to get better at not flipping the fuck out at non-libertarian.
Yeah, it took me a long time to learn that too. And in fact, Larry Sharp's like one of my mentors, man.
He's so good.
I spend a lot of time with Larry. I've talked with Larry on the phone 100 times. He's one of my favorite people in this party. We haven't talked in a while. We need to rectify that. But for your left-leaning producer, the book that I find that helps with the left-leaning guys the most is The Road to Serfdom by F.A. Hayek. So if he has the opportunity to read that book, that's a good book that'll put some things into perspective as far as like central planning goes and stuff. And it's not.
I'm getting back into reading.
There you go. He's getting back to reading.
Check out The Road to Serfdom by F.A. Hayek, man. It really highlights the dangers of central planning. And I know the thing about, and here's the thing about talking to leftists, right? And that we forget as far as being libertarians is a lot of times some of the like more hardcore leftists, some of the anarcho leftists especially, they want the same ends as we do.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they just have a completely different bass-ackwards way of getting there. And some of them obviously aren't real anarcho leftists. You know what I mean? They're like they say they are, but really they want these tanky policies, right? Some of them really want to abolish the government. And so, we kind of have some of the same ends, but what happens when we get there can be a little terrifying, because then some of them might want to step back into that Marxist-Leninist kind of policy mindset. And it's like, okay, cool, we abolished the government. Now leave me the fuck alone, okay? I'm gonna go homestead some shit, and you guys just to have your commune. It's totally cool. I don't give a shit.
Have your weird commune. Exactly.
Yeah, there's 64 acres there. Take it. It's yours. Fuck. I don't get. You know what I mean? Like fuck off.
I agree. No, but I'll say though, like, because Brian Nichols was talking to Jesse a little bit yesterday, and he was definitely, I think you would agree, he made a lot of great points the way we were talking about.
I think it goes back to the thing that I think that we are going after the same goals, right? We have different ways of getting there. I don't think abolishing the government's like totally the greatest idea. At the end of the day, look, at the end of the day, if you're all in an island, you start dividing responsibilities just naturally.
Right. But
so I think, but to my
ahead.
point is, that's what essentially government is when we're dealing with large populations. I don't know how you re-engineer that, because I feel like that's part of the human psyche.
Nah, they don't do that anymore, man. The government, right. the federal government, especially in this country,
I don't disagree. They don't do that. But I'm just saying that
they only exist to grow their power over your life, and they're going to continue to do that as long as we let them do that, unfortunately. That's the problem with centralizing. That's the problem with centralizing power, though.
Well, right, but government draws power by nature of government.
I understand that.
They're centralized.
So there should be, but there should be an ability to understand that that's not what government serves. Government is a waiting job. If you promote it that way, I think maybe we could get the right people inside, and maybe everyone can work for each other the way it's supposed to.
So, like we said on the last episode,
there's going to be problems, but
the problem is that human beings are inherently flawed, and no matter how good of an intention you have going in, you could be turned. Like we all have a price. Like every one of us, all three of us in this room have a price. Like for sure. Like mine's not $10,000, but it might be fucking 100.
I don't have a price, man.
Everyone has a price, dude. Everyone has a fucking price. Sure. $1 billion, dude. I'm fucking sucking dicks. I'm sucking dicks for way less, honestly. I'm sucking dicks for way less.
You're $100,000 man.
I'm $100,000 man
when it comes to sucking dicks.
You imagine how many tours you could go on for $100,000, dude? Jesus.
Hey man, I could get by for a whole year for a $100,000 dick sucker.
But also, let me just like pump you guys up. Like the Libertarian Party, the first person I voted for was Gary Johnson.
He's like the worst.
I don't disagree. But it was
Libertarian
but it comes to the libertarian idea of like, hey, there is no wrong third choice.
Right. That's fair.
There's just a choice.
Right.
And I think once we get the message across the general public saying that, hey, the third party is a waste of a vote. No, it's just your opinion because that's what you asked, right? Democracy is like, hey, what's your opinion?
Kind of.
Right?
Yeah.
Here's your options. What's your opinion?
Democracy is the majority of an opinion of a vote, I guess. I guess the basis of majority of democracy.
So that I think that messaging needs to come harder, at least from the libertarian standpoint. Because there's people that will look at it.
That's what we're trying to do now.
No, I don't disagree.
Fucking...
But I'm saying that should be the ultimate focus. You know what I mean? Being like, hey, we're not a throwaway thing.
Yeah,
we're a legitimate option.
I agree. I also think, and Josh, maybe you'll agree with this, is like I don't think presidency is the thing we should be looking to in the short-term future. It should be like smaller, like official positions and stuff.
So here's the thing with the Libertarian Party. So the presidential race is basically a 50-state media tour for us. That's
right,
it. We know we're not going to win that tomorrow.
Exactly. 100%
you know what I mean?
agree. Exactly.
We are now at a point where we're starting to win state legislative seats, which is huge for
I mean,
libertarians.
Amash was the only goddamn libertarian ever in Congress. I mean, I know he
But
flipped when he was in there. I know, but
flipped.
still, but the fact that he went left, still being a libertarian, that holds. Like, people still see that shit. Like, oh shit.
Sure.
And let's be honest, Rand Paul essentially is a libertarian
on some things.
Yeah,
on some
I mean,
definitely the warfare state definitely. I think he got a little too close with Donald Trump there for a while, kind of fucked him up a little bit.
Yeah.
I think there's some good people in Congress and that are good. Massey's been pretty good on most things.
Yeah.
But as far as the party goes, I mean, we legitimately have 2 state legislators right now, and that's huge. They're both in Wyoming, but we focus some resources on Wyoming. You know what I mean? And started this program called the Libertarian Frontier Project, where we're like, okay, let's target some races in one state and fucking run some candidates, see if we can get some legislature seats. And we do. I mean, we have 2 now in Wyoming. That's huge. Now the people of Wyoming are going to get to see libertarian policies in real time. And
that's actually awesome.
Yeah, it's cool. It's fucking cool. And so hopefully, one of my reasons for running for chair was because I wanted to take that program and make it much bigger. And the only way to do that is to bring more people in the party, to have more money, to focus on more focused, targeted races in places like Wyoming or places like Rhode Island, where there's less than 700,000 people or something. You know what I mean? Yeah, I mean, we're growing. The party's the fastest growing. It's the fastest growing party in the country right now. It's the biggest growth the party has ever seen as well. And a lot of that is due, in fact, to the Mises Caucus.
Well, and that's what I want to come back to for the Libertarian Party in Nevada. They tweeted this out in March 31st. Shout out to some of the many wonderful caucuses, and they shout out like outright, audacious, radicals, LP caucus, SOC caucus, whatever. Not the Mises Caucus, though. And then
shocking.
If you look at, though, all those caucuses' Twitter accounts, they're not even a third of the Mises Caucus Twitter account following.
Of course not.
Right.
Of
so
course
it's like
not.
you're excluding the biggest account, the biggest group, because you disagree with us.
Well, now they wonder why the big scary caucus is coming to take over their fucking state party. Get fucked, nerds. Like, you know what I mean? Like, your fault, dude. Like, we've given everyone in this party an opportunity to work with us. Everybody. We said we're not leaving. It's been 4 years now. They thought we were going to lose in 2018 and then turn around and walk away. But we didn't fucking lose. I mean, we didn't lose either. I lost my chair race, but I ended up on the board.
Right.
Three of our 4 endorsed candidates for the national board got elected. And we didn't turn around and leave. We fucking kept working. We worked harder. It made us want to work harder. We organized 48 states are organized for the Mises Caucus now. They have state coordinators. We're getting delegates left and right that are signing up, trying to become delegates, getting involved with our state and local parties. Like, get fucked. I mean, we're coming. You know what I mean? And there's some good states. There's some really great states. Like I just did my last live stream with Amy Lepore, who's the Delaware State Mises Caucus organizer. Delaware's been wonderful to the Mises Caucus.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like they've been wonderful. There are some state boards that are willing to work, and they see the tenacity and the new members that are coming in and like, hey, how do we make this shit work? You know what I mean? And then there's places like Nevada where it's like, dude, you have the opportunity to have 80 new fucking members that are going to bust their ass for this party. And instead of embracing that and being like, fuck yeah, let's go, you're calling them transphobe, lunatic to fucking libertarian pipeline bullshit. Like, what are you doing?
Right.
What the fuck are you doing? You know what I mean? Like, of course they're going to come take your board from you now. That's your fault. You did that. You had the opportunity to work with them. You had the opportunity to grow your cause in your state, and instead you devolved into petty fucking bickering about dumb shit that doesn't matter. You know?
Yep.
So congratulations, you're fucked. Get out. Like, go away. Nobody cares. Nobody cares. The Mises Caucus is growing faster than the fucking party is. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, that Facebook group is like crazy members every fucking day. The Mises Caucus Facebook group, like it's fucking boom,
what are you gonna do?
Like it's crazy. Hundreds
Well,
of members a day.
They can't stop. They don't have the manpower and they don't have the money to stop this caucus anymore. The caucus is bringing in like $15,000 a month. You know what I mean? At this point, they're getting close to fucking rivaling the party.
Yeah.
You know, they're definitely beating almost every state party. Definitely.
For sure. Oh, dude, there's no way they're not.
Yeah, and so now, and then you got your state like party caucuses that are organizing, and you just can't stop it anymore. So it's you either get on board and work with us. You know, you don't have to work on the same fucking issues as us. You know, you don't have to be like, oh, Austrian economics and this and that and this and that. But you guys got a mixer going on. You got all these new people to help you out. fucking embrace that shit. It's good. It's good for the party. It's something that we've needed for a long time. But you have these gatekeeping assholes who want to stop it, who think that, their little social club at their little Applebee's meetup once a month with 8 people is more important than growing this party. I mean, that's really what it's come down to. They think that's more important than actually growing liberty and freedom in this country. And the Mises Caucus is just done watching it. I mean, plain and simple.
I think, though, we're clearly seeing that turn in the party because, I mean, your boy Nick Sarwark, like up in New Hampshire, right? He lost to no one.
Yeah, it was beautiful.
A 36-34 count, whatever the fuck it was, and then there was
I slept with a smile that night, for sure.
And then there was a massive cheer, like when they announced his, and then, but this is why that smarmy asshole that he is. Then he goes on Twitter. He's like, "I didn't even want to win." Like that's what a child says.
Yeah, sure
That's
he didn't.
An actual child, and like you're a lawyer.
Mm-hmm.
I'm fucking stupid, and I feel like I can out lawyer Nick Sarwark. You know what I'm saying? Like, like that's how bad of like an arguer he is, and like a debater he is. I mean, Dave Smith, right, destroyed him twice publicly.
Oh, bad, terribly.
I mean, and that's Dave Smith says himself too. He's like, I'm a comic. Why am I better at this than you? You know, it's like, yeah. And that guy though, people fucking, he's like, they were like, yeah, this guy represents us. The guy who was anti 2A. Pro fucking, again, I think he was pretty much pro lockdown, pro fucking all this shit, dude. Right? I mean, like
he's he always leaves a little bit of what do they call it? What's the word? A plausible deniability with everything he says. He is smart in that aspect, but we know
that's a lawyer.
Like he's been simping for the mask mandates. He's been simping for the fucking lockdowns. I mean, he calls anybody who like doesn't want to get the vaccine a conspiracy theorist. And he's got his little pocket holder, Andy Craig, right, talking about how like, oh, the J&J vaccine, you have more of a chance dying on your way to get it than you do from the vaccine. Like, motherfucker, they put a hold on that shit for a reason. For a reason, you idiot.
Pulled it, yeah. Now my wife got that J&J. Like I hear, I don't get like for things like this because this is like the flu kind of like it's like a right vaccine that I've never gotten the flu shot because I don't agree with them giving me what they think the flu is going to be. That like you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, that's what the flu shot is. It's like we think it might be this. It's like hey man, I'm good. Same reason why I don't like I'm like antidepressants and all that shit. It's like I don't think chemicals. That getting thrown to human body just because we think is the best for us. Like, you know, like I'm a weed guy. I'm smoking weed right now. I think that's way better for you. And then by the way, I just read a study that like apparently avid weed smokers are not really getting COVID.
Huh. I heard that. I read a study from France about cigarette smokers.
Yeah.
Same thing.
So it apparently has to do with like the coating of like the lungs are already used to the cough or something. I'm fucking this up, but it has to do with like the sores of your lungs from just coughing and inhaling smoke and how it like cancels out the COVID like sores or something like that.
The study that I read from France was that cigarette smokers have already fucked up their ACE2 inhibitors so bad that the virus doesn't have anything to cling to in your lungs, and so they're not getting the lung part of the COVID virus. So it may be the one time that smoking actually saves lives. I don't know. I don't know how. I read this study. This was months ago, so I don't know.
Yeah, that's why my brain's farting on it. But like, but that's the thing is like, there's so. And then again, it's like, and this is why because the government wants you to be dependent on it. That's why it's like, oh, being in the sun, exercise, doing all this stuff makes you feel better. And they're like, hey, but stay inside and wear a fucking mask and don't do any of that stuff that might make you feel better. Because like I got like allergy sick over the weekend just from sinus stuff and
it happens to me every other week.
Every April it happens to me. And I never got a sore throat, which is amazing, but I got like the headache. I even got like chills and stuff like that. But I was like, okay, I know this isn't COVID. I know what this is. And then I'm like, you know what? I'm going to walk my dog outside. It was nice out. It was sunny. I walked in for like 2 days in the sun. I felt better. I took vitamin D. I drank orange juice. I took vitamins. And like I kicked it in like 2 days, because I just did normal exercise shit and I didn't overexert myself and I was fine. And then the whole like stay inside, don't look outside. Like there's fucking poison if you look at it and it kills you. Like like it's like a creepypasta story where you look at a painting and you die. It's like
sure.
Hey, all this shit's good for you, man. Go outside. Even if you're not talking to anybody, go outside in your yard.
Well, they love it, dude. They love it. I mean, they want you dependent. We know, we as libertarians, we fucking know they want us to depend on the government. I mean, The more people that depend on the government, the more they can take from rich people and give to people who are dependent on them. The more money they put in their pockets, the more money they have for their pet projects, including bombing brown children overseas and fucking all this dumb shit that they do.
Yeah.
Right. This was just the perfect event for them. Whether it's real or not, I'm not some conspiracy theorist. I know COVID's a real thing. Right. I am a conspiracy theorist, and you know what? A lot of the times those fucking conspiracies have come true. So fuck off.
No, same.
But I know COVID's a real thing. I know people are getting COVID and getting sick, and but I also know that the government response to it was way fucking overblown purposely. Purposely.
Well, not like 9/11 too. It's like the Patriot Act, right? That was just an overblown response to 9/11. It's the same shit.
I went to war in Iraq because of 9/11, and I'm going, what the fuck am I doing in Iraq?
Right,
Why am I in Iraq? Wait a minute, what did Iraq have to do with 9/11? What are we doing here?
Right.
So I know, it was just another reason for them to blow out, drop more bombs in the Middle East. It really was, and at the end of the day, we find out that it wasn't even like people from Afghanistan that drove the planes, like. Oh, go figure. And now we've been in Afghanistan for what, 20 years?
20-something years, yeah.
2 fucking decades. And for what? What have we done? We didn't win the war.
Nothing.
And now that the Afghanistan papers are out, it literally, this is the thing that drives me the most insane, right? These people who are like, oh, the government won't ever lie to us and shit. I'm like, dude, the Afghanistan papers from 20 years ago are readily available now. They've declassified them. It shows clearly that they lied us into our longest military conflict in the United States of all time. They lied us into this war. You can see it plain as day. You can literally Google the Afghan papers and it will show you that they lied to us. And you don't think they lied to us about a virus to use it to get some amount of power in the country? Fuck off.
Well, I love the if you look into like the World War I Gulf of Tonkin, not World War Gulf of Tonkin, Lithuania, right? World War I. Germans were like, hey, listen, America, we're doing our own shit over here. You're not involved. If you send over any troops or fucking cargo, we're torpedoing any of your ships. And we were like, okay, got it. And then what did we fucking do? Because we wanted to get involved in the war, right? So we fucking snuck over cargo. They torpedoed it, blew up, and we're like, oh, you totally did this thing by its surprise sauce. And then we have to get involved in this war now.
Sure.
That was World War I. What happened in World War II? World War II, Japan comes over, or Australia. Australia goes, hey, guys, Japan's amassing a pretty large naval fleet over here, and we think they're up to some shit, and I think they're going to hit you. And then we went, what's that? We can't understand you. We can't hear you from over here. And then, because again, World War II, we were in a depression. World War II was kicking off in fucking Europe and the Pacific. We weren't involved. The American people were like, we just got a World War I. Man, we're done. We don't want this shit. And the government's like, yeah, no, we totally get you. But we need money, and this is a great way to get it. So let them hit fucking. That's why all of our ships weren't. That's why all the important ships weren't there. They let 2 small ships go. That's what happened. And then because the important fleet was gone, that was World War II. Then Vietnam, you had the Gulf of Tonkin, which again a verifiably declassified falsehood
100% lie.
The Gulf of Tonkin, which hey Jess, you know what the Gulf of Tonkin was? You do? Yes, yes or no?
Yeah, I know.
Okay,
yeah,
so a lot of people don't know this. And so the Gulf of Tonkin is like. Again, we wanted to get involved in a fucking Vietnam conflict to stop communism. Because Uncle, it's bad. Sure, that's what we were there for. And then we said that they fired on a warship in the Gulf of Tonkin, so we had to get involved. Turns out, story legitimately 100% false.
Yep.
Just to get us into Vietnam. Now let's go into Iraq. Weapons of mass destruction. Were there?
Nope. No WMDs.
5 wars I just went through that the government legitimately lied us into. And then they're still going to be like, listen, man, they're not going to do it again. Yeah, they will.
Yeah. They will 100% do it again. And they're doing it again right now. It's legitimate. Guaranteed 20 years from now, we're all going to look back and go, God damn it, they got us again.
Well, and this is the thing, and Tom Woods put out a lot of great studies on the COVID stuff, and it's like, again, no one's saying COVID isn't real. We're going, you're not being honest with the deaths. That's what we're talking about when we again. There's my new favorite stat is, out of everyone who got COVID, if the people who just died of COVID is less than 6% of people,
right?
Everyone else who died of COVID. They had at least a 2.7 comorbidity rating with them, as in they had COVID plus they were fat and had cancer. or
Right.
they had
Heart
COVID,
disease.
plus they had heart disease and they had diabetes. It was never like, again, less than 6% of the time it was, but almost never what it was that. It was always something else. But the media doesn't say that. The media doesn't say if you're healthy, you might feel like shit for a week, but you'll get over it. Like they're not telling you that it's fear porn, and they're going, everyone's gonna die. They were in naval ships that saw no one.
Never, not once. And I mean, this same thing happened with the Nightingale hospitals in the UK too. I mean, they opened these big, millions of dollar Nightingale hospitals, and they never got used. They never even got fucking used. I just talked about this because the most bizarre shit here in Iowa, right? We're being told that the ICUs are filling up, everything's crazy, nobody can do this and that and this and that. We need to stay home. This is back a while ago now. Well, we had our baby December 31st, New Year's Eve, right, at the Broadlawns Hospital. It's one of the biggest hospitals in Des Moines area, right? Okay. So, I mean, it's a pretty decent-sized hospital for a big city. And the nurses that are working with us are like, oh, yeah, we only have 3 people in the ICU, and none of them are here for COVID. Then just a few weeks ago, I go to one of the other biggest hospitals. I was in the ER for something at Unity Point, and the lady in there is like, oh, yeah, it's all overblown. We just actually saw our first positive COVID case in a month.
See, this is what I'm saying, and
I'm like, what?
Right? If we say this, people get mad at us, and like you guys conspiracy them. I'm like, but that was from a fucking person who worked there. What are you talking about?
To the actual.
Right.
Those are two of the 3 biggest hospitals in Des Moines.
It's like,
legitimately.
Should you be mad at the source?
Yeah,
not us. Like we're just again like. Also, this is my fun one. What is the government was doling out $40,000 to a COVID death at a hospital, right, or something like that? There's like a
27. So there's $27,000 for a COVID. That was from Medicare. So there's a $27,000 payment for COVID diagnosis. There was like another $9,000 for patients who had to be intubated.
Okay.
So if they had to get a ventilator put in, is another $9,000. Then now we have doctors and nurses coming forward from especially New York, where they're saying we weren't venting the patients for their own health. We were doing it to prevent the spread of COVID through the hospitals. So. And we know that the ventilators were killing people.
Right.
So
for sure. Right. It's fact now.
So,
that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. So 100% fact. So when this first started, they were unnecessarily ventilating people and killing them. I mean, that was killing them.
Yeah.
And then adding those to the COVID deaths to prevent the spread of COVID in the hospitals from the medical workers.
Right.
And I'm going, how can you know this? How can you know this stuff and not say anything about it? It doesn't make any sense.
And this is why, again, and this is how we know, obviously, hospitals always do medical fraud insurance like that, because how many even like hospital TV shows, way before COVID was a fucking thought or in existence, wrote about exact scenarios of hospitals going, we don't really have to do this, but he has good insurance, so fucking boom, we're doing it. I mean, Scrubs literally had 18 episodes alone, on that. That's just Scrubs. Not to count fucking ER, General Hospital, all the other house. So now, we're gonna act like, that doesn't. Of course. So now this is just another way for this is a bigger bump of them to do that. We're like, well, we don't have to do it, but if we're gonna get $9,000 to do it, why the fuck not?
Imagine this, Adam. Imagine we close down entire wings of hospitals. Mm-hmm. Okay. And now the hospital's making 1/3 of the money it was making before this pandemic. And then we go to the hospital and say, hey, but you can make $27,000 for every COVID diagnosis and another $9,000 for every patient who has to be intubated in your ICU or your ER.
Right.
Now the hospital's going, hey, we've had to lay all these people off. We have all these wings closed. We need this money. Like, that's the only way the hospital's going to keep operating. You're fucking damn right the board of that hospital is going to say, everybody you can diagnose with COVID, diagnose with COVID.
Yep. And then how many stories came out where like families, like someone died of a car accident or they got shot?
They pulled FO. So there was someone I know personally that is friends with my girlfriend who pulled Freedom of Information Act, pulled some death records from Arizona. And there was people who were listed as COVID deaths that had died from blunt force trauma. There was lots of drug overdoses, lots of drug overdoses because they had tested positive within 30 days of their death. There was a stabbing. There was a vehicular accident.
Yep.
And these people were being listed as COVID deaths. I've seen this. I've seen these papers with my own eyes. Like, this isn't me just saying, oh, I heard somebody say this. I've seen these death records. It's pulled and I've seen them with my own eyes. They're not doctored. They're not photoshopped. I know the source. You know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure I shared it on my Twitter, and 100 people started calling me, oh, well, that's just a couple of cases. I'm like, no, that was like 100 of them.
First of all,
from
one case is too many.
Yeah, that's like 100 of them from one county
Yeah.
in one state. Do you think
Right.
that's the only place it's happening at? Fuck
Right.
no, it's not.
It's gonna
And the
right.
doctors and nurses have been telling you on YouTube before they're pulled off of YouTube for saying the truth that these things are happening. You know what I mean? So it's really bizarre. It's like Bizarre World. It's fucking clown world, dude. All these people are believing it. And now these same people that are like berating you, right? They're fucking berating you for not being scared of COVID because we don't know the long-term effects of COVID, even if you survive it, are now berating you again, shaming you again for not taking a vaccine that has less than 6 months of trials done on it.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like, again, I'm not going to take it. Again, fuck it, conspiracy shit aside. I'm not taking it because I don't do that anyway. Like, I'm not going to do that. It's fuck. And then people go, what the polio vaccine? That's not the same thing.
And truth be told, my girlfriend, she's like my girlfriend started or my fiance now, started an organization here in Iowa called Informed Choice Iowa that pushes for medical freedom and for definitely informed consent around vaccines. There's a lot of things that they weren't doing that they were supposed to be doing revolving around vaccines, especially like with sudden infant death syndrome here. They weren't they weren't marking on their death certificate the date and time of their last vaccine, right? And so they wanted that kind of stuff. So that's what they work on. And I've read some things about the polio vaccine, man, that it's like, we don't really know because nobody really gets polio anymore. So it's like, the vaccine must have worked. Well, if you look at the time when the vaccine was used, I mean, there's definitely some things in the timeline that'll make you go, maybe it wasn't the vaccine that made it go away. But
I have no
whatever.
idea. I'm also like in no way like an anti-vaxxer by any means, but because like fucking tetanus, shit like that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I'm gonna take a tetanus shot. I'm a blue collar guy, man. If I cut myself with a rusty razor blade, I'm going to get a tetanus
plenty
shot.
of shit that we 100% fucking. It's great for medical purposes, but there's just some things where I've always been this way. Literally before COVID, I'm like, no, I'm not putting that fucking fluid in me. Why? Like I've been fine. I think weed holds off a lot of stuff. I don't know. That's bro science.
Sure, it could be the weed.
I don't know. That's the bro science to be sure. I'm like, weed's strong. Weed makes me strong. I don't fucking know. This is something I actually just saw. Did you see a dude from CNN just straight up got caught from Project Veritas being like,
I did see that. Yep.
We made propaganda straight up. Like he actually said that. Jess, did you see that?
Yeah, to get Trump out of office. Yep, absolutely. I'm not even a Trump guy.
Yeah,
so,
no, me either. But this is wild, Jess. So I'll fill you in, Jess. I never listened at home. Project Veritas is this group. They like this journalist group. They kind of like go undercover for organizations like that. And who's the guy from? What was his name from CNN? Fuck.
I don't. He's one of the program directors. Though I can't remember.
I'll pull it up. I'll pull it up right now. What is James O'Keefe? Where is it? Charlie Chester. Chester, he's the technical director of CNN. The dude, he straight up was like, yeah, we just made up stuff. He goes, I'm pretty sure it's propaganda about Trump. like straight up. And I was like, that's not okay. And I don't fuck Trump. It has nothing to do with him. I'm like, you just admitted that you're a major news organization from doing propaganda to the American people.
Because CNN and Fox and all those people.
No, they're trash.
No, they're entertainment.
Right, but they pose themselves as fucking news organization.
But they need to pose themselves as entertainment.
Jess, I agree with you. And I know you're not one of the left people who are like, fuck, yeah, CNN. But my point is, there are.
No, but I think that's hard because people expect that news source to be like legit. But if it's 24 hours, it's all entertainment.
No, you're smart enough to know that, though. That's the difference.
No, I know. I think more people need to know that.
Right, and that's my point. That's my point of talking about this because, like, this guy literally said, "Oh, I'm pretty sure it's it's propaganda."
Oh, he knew, yeah,
Okay.
yeah, 100% he knew.
I mean,
which is why we can't say the death toll on the side. Let's make it higher. Like, why isn't it high enough? Today, like, it would make our point better if it was higher.
he's talking about the COVID death toll.
COVID death toll, yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
I
then
know,
you know.
that's stupid
Well, you know,
fucking graphic.
I don't know if you know this, but I don't know if you noticed, but then so like inauguration day in Washington D.C.
Oh,
they opened all the fucking restaurants.
Yeah.
You know
Oh,
what
dude.
I mean?
Yeah. And
They
they
said
also took the COVID death toll off CNN.
Yeah, they took it off CNN.
Yeah.
They sent all our kids back to school within 2 weeks of the inauguration.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like okay, motherfuckers. Like we're not stupid.
I told my wife this. I said, by the way, no matter who wins the selection, COVID will be going away within the next 6 months after that election. I was like, no matter who wins, just so you know, and she knows. But like, yeah, and that's the thing. And again, it's like, oh, kids in cages. We gave a shit about that. It's worse now.
Yeah. Well,
it's worse now.
Biden built those cages. I mean, Biden and Obama built those cages. That was their whole program.
Yeah.
And then Trump just took it over.
Right.
And all of a sudden it was bad. It was like, dude, it was bad for the last 8 years too, you fucking assholes.
It's been bad the whole time.
Yeah. It was bad when George Bush was in office.
That's always why I like to be like, at least we're consistent, libertarian, because we've been saying that forever. Because I fucking talked about that when I was in college. I was young, but I still been like, we have kids in cages in 2008 or 7, whatever the fuck it was. Like Bush was in, I was like, I don't think we should. No. And like, I've always been saying that. That was a Republican president. Then I said it during Obama. Then I said it during fucking Trump. Now I'm saying it during Biden. I've been consistent. You've been consistent the whole goddamn time.
Yep.
Nothing's fucking.
I was consistent after like 2006, I'd say. But
prior
to that,
I was a long time.
Yeah, prior to 2005, prior to 2005, I was a neocon, so I was anti-immigration.
But you were young.
Pro-war. Yeah.
You were young. You were like,
I went to war.
You went to war over it.
I went to war, and then I was like, holy shit.
But I think that's something that, anybody who's done like law enforcement, military stuff, that red pills you to be like, oh, fuck government more.
Agreed.
Or it blue pills you super hard. There's no in between. There's no in between. There's no in between. It's like either you're like a military man for life or like a law enforcement guy for life, or you're like, yo, whoo, like you get out and you're like, that was some fucking horrible. You're like Tom Hanks in fucking Saving Private Ryan D-Day Beach. Just that fucking like that stare. You're like, this shit was fucking wild, dude. But dude, we're gonna start wrapping up here. Josh, brother, tell everybody where they can find you and your podcast and all that other great stuff. And if you're going to be anywhere in person soon.
Yeah, dude. I'm on like if you want to just listen to my podcast audio wise, I'm on like every podcast app. But I actually rip the audio because I do a live show, and it's actually video 1080p. It's really beautiful. If you want to check it out on YouTube, it's youtube.com/FightTheDespots, DESPOTS. Like tyrants. I'm also on Odyssey. I want people to follow me on Odyssey and YouTube because eventually YouTube's going to kick me off. I know that's coming someday. Odyssey will not kick me off. It's a platform that's pretty decentralized-ish. It runs on a crypto called LBRY. It was created by people from the Free State Project in New Hampshire. Good people. So definitely check out Odyssey. You can, if you want to help me out at Patreon, patreon.com/BreakTheCycleJS. There's some cool tiers and perks and swag and stuff you can get there. But definitely try to at least subscribe to the YouTube and try to make some of the live streams because, the watch hours are what matters on YouTube. So, and then follow me on Twitter, man. I'm at war with the blue checks there. It's at Joshua at large. So @ and then the word at Joshua at large on Twitter. Definitely follow me there. We have a good time there. I like to party on Twitter. I don't know how much longer Jack will let me stay on that platform either. I'm already permanently banned from Facebook as of 2 weeks before the election anyway. So, but there is also a Facebook page. There's an Instagram page. You can find all that stuff by just putting in Break the Cycle with Joshua Smith.
Awesome, dude. You guys catch me at Adam Nutter on Twitter, Instagram, at Adam Nutter Comedy on TikTok and Facebook. I don't even know what I'm gonna.
Wait a minute, you got a fucking TikTok, dude?
Yeah, I don't really
find you right now, dude.
Fucking do anything on it though, dude. I suck. I gotta get better. But I definitely have to get better. But I don't know when to release this shit. But May 4th, I'll be in Staten Island, Little Victory Theater. Come out and see me on my homeland of garbage. And then May 14th, I'll be. No, that's not right. That's not right. When is that date? Oh, it is May 14th at 9 p.m. I'll be in Rock Hill, South Carolina, with Dylan Negri and Kevin Sanchez from Doped Up and Dying podcast from Gas Digital. We'll be down there slinging some jokes, so come on out. Tickets will be available, I think, now. I'll put them out on my link, so coming out. Again, Josh, Thanks so much for hanging out with me, brother. Good seeing you, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, brother. You too.
Thanks for listening. Find Adam on social media, Twitter and IG @AdamNutter, or Facebook and TikTok @AdamNutterComedy. And for podcasts and merch, check out www.droptent.com. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe so you never miss an episode.